Hey everyone, welcome back. This video took a while as a lot has happened. To set expectations, this video is both a detailed registry of my League Start experience as well as a critique roughly halfway into the video which explains why I feel dumb playing this game. If you're interested in just that, there are timestamps. I believe the rest of the video provides a good lead up and understanding to this moment, however, it provides a lot of context as the rest of the video is structured like my regular Zero to Hero videos or Fileborn Roulette videos. With that said, subscribe and like for more Path of Exile videos and let's dive in. After Ziggy D dropped multiple Druid gameplay videos, I'm quite excited to try it out. Position 350 in the queue, that is not bad. It's time to make a character, so I delete Thyworm, create Thyworm, and off I go. I start with a staff with lightning bolt, soon pick up a talisman, and I already decided to go werewolf, as I'm thinking of starting a wolf pack. I get Volcano and I die in the first zone. My bad, I guess. The miller goes down, I get an MTX, I dress up a bit using Lord Occam's MTX plus that pipe I just got. I take Lunar Assault, an attack with a lot of freeze and chill build up. I take my first look at the passive tree and decide to take generic spell and attack damage. I can already see what the game wants me to do. I'm expected to use Lunar Assault, freeze enemies, use the werewolf basic attack called Shred to create crystals against frozen enemies, and they then explode. The vision is once again real with all the combo gameplay. I do like how snappy this all feels. The animations are amazing and the gameplay already super smooth. That's impressive for the first zone. I don't like how squishy I am. I encounter and clear the first foul beacon. I spend some currency on my weapon and hit crit. I clear another beacon and use that currency as well, and once I am at the Devourer using Volcano, Lunar Assault and Shred, it is not much of a problem. I upgrade Lunar Assault, however on this fight I am barely generating any freeze build-up currently, meaning my combo is basically broken. On bosses this is an issue. I get new gloves, I get my first support and decide to deep freeze for now, freezing enemies longer so I have more uptime when they are frozen. I notice the crystals on Shred have a detonate tag. They take ages to explode after being created, but I need tier 2 support to reduce that detonation time. The early werewolf gameplay, I will say, is pretty rough. You take a lot of damage, you don't do all that much damage. It's fast and snappy, it's incredibly well animated, but I can already tell tankiness is going to be an issue if I don't address this. Simply clearing white monsters is a challenge right now. I decide to weave in Entangle, I got a new talisman, here is me fighting the Rust King, and it's rough. It takes a long time. I get Pounce, a level 3 skill, new gloves and some flat damage. I create a quick Vendor regex, which notices this talisman for me, and here is Pounce in action. You jump on enemies, mark them, and if you kill a marked enemy, you summon 2 wolves. They are permanent as long as they have life. They also do 0 damage and are completely useless. Here at the Rotten Druid it seems okay still, but this will not last for very long. It's getting worse. I'm basically constantly dying at this point. I barely drop gear, get almost no support gems. It's worse than last league. Drop rates are abysmal. I open a strong box and I'm dead again. I find that same strong box, dead again by an ice spike. Sprinting and getting hit, dead again. When you have this many issues in the 5th or so area in the game, you're already bracing yourself for a day full of torture. I get rapid attack on the Pounce, hoping the wolf minions benefit from that too. Once outside I encounter the 6th beacon, meaning I can enter the Vaal Temple. That's pretty cool, you get to place your rooms and the path towards those rooms. I build up a small temple to run, get a few gear pieces to upgrade, level up Lunar Assault, and after clearing some of these rooms you get to craft. So I basically throw a free exalt on a chest piece. This is very useful right now in Act 1 as you have no currency. I reroll my weapon and boots and then I die due to ignite and the whole temple is gone. I cannot re-enter. That seems a little steep after putting in all that work. This doesn't bode well for the league mechanic. I'm not very happy right now. Another strong box, another death. Single target, as can be seen here, is not horrible, but it certainly isn't great either. I just decided to soldier on a bit. I realized the game is rough the first few levels. Hopefully it'll be better with some more support gems and gear. The talisman will matter a lot too, I feel. I decided to make use of the weapon swap nodes already, as one weapon set is for spells and the other is for werewolf. Not sure I will keep this up, but for now I will try it. That means duration for spells, and I will path towards freeze build up for wolf. Here you see a longer bit of gameplay in Thhyworm. Remember what Jonathan said in the Q&A with Ziggy D about the showcase, that it wasn't representative in terms of damage? I don't agree. I think the trailer was very accurate, as my gameplay looks exactly like it. Visually amazing, 17 damage, it's lore accurate. The next Vile Beacon summons a Colossus, which I think is a cool feature, a bit of variety. I can barely kill the guy though, this is painful. With the King in the Mists I don't fare much better, but I do trigger an interesting bit of lore here, where my deceased wife appears. I also get this new weapon. Back in town, I equip a new amulet with +1 melee. With this and the new weapon, I'm instantly freezing monsters now, which helps. I get Cold Attunement for Herald of Ice. I'm starting to get a bit of hope, as this strongbox gameplay looks both visually stunning and I'm actually doing some damage. Freezing bosses works, although it takes a while, but the damage on them isn't great. I get new boots with life and movement speed. I complete the freeze cluster, upgrade my resistances a bit, get killed by white trash in Geonor's hideout, and get also killed by Geonor himself. I still barely do damage, despite the gear upgrades, but I do ultimately manage to kill him. I upgrade my belt and rings, and it's onwards to Act 2. I decided to support Shred with Short Fuse 1 to reduce the time it takes for the Shred crystals to detonate. In Act 2, unfortunately, the suffering continues. I fight both the unique Ender Bear, but I have no sustain, so I bleed out. I support Lunar Assault with Freeze. It is important that this skill freezes, so I can combo. I drop a Spirit Gem and decide to try out Savage Fury, but I don't end up liking it. It is another button to press. I kill Balbala, barely, make more use of the weapon swap passives. I get another attempt at the Vile Ruins. I do a little bit of building and setting up. And inside I managed to get more upgrades, like a Reroll for my ring, an Exalt for my weapon, a Reroll for the other ring, an Exalt for the chest piece, quality for the weapon, an Exalt for a new chest piece that I just found. And this is all very helpful in Solo Self-Found. I'm wondering if this holds up in Endgame though. Back to the campaign, Jamanra version 1 goes down, I unlock Cross Slash, do a small respec so I can equip that new body armor, buy an anti-freeze charm, I drop my first unique, get my first lesser jeweler's orb, put that on Lunar Assault, put Marked for Death on Pounce so it breaks armor, and put rapid attacks on Lunar Assault. I equip a unique shield on the spellcaster loadout, craft a decent jewel and slot that in. I discover the Lightless Passage, get another lesser jewelers from the Abyss, I die again, I 4-link my Pounce as I want my wolves to do damage, to no avail however, and here is more boss damage on the Colossus. It remains the same I think, not horrible, not great. I buy an anti-stun charm, decide to do the trial to ascend, manage to kill the boss and take Turning of the Seasons, gaining extra damage and providing exposure in the hopes to do more damage. I try to gamble a better weapon, but I fail. A little later in the temple I do find an upgrade, and using the temple crafting mechanics it turns out quite well. As you might expect, weapon upgrades are huge. I found a Spirit Amulet, use my only alchemy orb on it, and that's a decent outcome, I'll take it. I upgrade the weapon further with runes and quality, and with all that it is time for the Act 2 boss. Notoriously a tough fight on League Start. I think this is a representative showcase of my build, which is just generic wolf cold melee. Damage is still nothing to write home about, despite me just upgrading my weapon. More so, to do damage, I need to do the following. I cast Thunderstorm so he gets wet, so it's easier to freeze him. Then I Lunar Assault to actually freeze him. Then I Shred to start forming the crystals and Shred just does decent damage. Then I Arctic Howl when he's frozen. That's my E ability to gain extra cold damage, but that only works on frozen targets. And then I can pounce to apply a mark, and I can cross slash to consume the mark and summon wolves. I almost get one shot by his scythe, there's that as well. And I'm melee, so this tornado is messing me up, and without a safe distance to the boss, these fights can be pretty rough to navigate. If I can't reach the boss, I deal no damage, contrary to, for example, the Calamity Bear with meteors all over the place. I do kill him though in just one try, so that's good. I get another Jeweler's Orb and get one shot by the monkey, a true classic. I tried to dodge using pounce but failed. I get my first divine, kill the bog witch, throw a desecrate item on my weapon and get even a bit more physical damage. With plenty of skills this all gets converted to cold, but having physical damage is still nice for life and mana leech, which typically only works with physical damage. I get mana regen from the side quest, kill Blackjaw, although it once again takes a while, reach level 36, take more shapeshifting passives, try out Overwhelming Presence, making stuns and freezes easier, which definitely works. I equip a decent helmet with tons of resistances, try out Wolfpack as well, which is basically 4 wolves for 60 spirit, and I purchase a new weapon, which I managed to craft into this. That's an upgrade for sure. I get 2 sockets, put in some leech, it's good. A new patch releases and it turns out wolves doing no damage was a bug. Unfortunately, also after the patch they do basically no damage, so Wolf Summoner Druid isn't happening. I'm at Viper, damage is still the same, but she does die. I support Shred with Close Combat 1, decide to do the second trial, which goes well. I am overleveled a lot though, I really don't want to fail these, I absolutely despise the trials. For now I go Apocalypse, I think that's just cool. It's another button to press however, and it is conditional as you need glory to trigger this skill, which isn't too hard to generate, but it is annoying because you need to pay attention. Also, this is a spell which doesn't really synergize too well with Wolf, as I am primarily attack based. In the Doriani fight I will trigger it. It is a little difficult to gauge how well it does. I'm also not supporting it by anything I believe, but I like the concept. Some extra damage, that's always good. However, I simply forget to press the button as the Wolf is already such an intense button heavy playstyle. I purchase new gloves, get a new chest with spirit on it, unlocked a new temple now that Doriani joined me, which is cool. I thought this would be much further into the game. This means more diverse and rewarding temple rooms, at least in theory. I upgrade Shred with rapid attacks too. I die on the Siren boss because I get frozen. Just look at how many projectiles these guys use. Here is my single target DPS in Act 4 on the captain just before he demolishes me. I get boots with 25% movement speed, spec out of Apocalypse because I keep forgetting to use it, and into reactive growth, granting less elemental damage taken. I support Shred now with Crescendo 2, doubling the final attack of the combo. On cross slash I try minion pact 1, sacrificing minions to do more damage as they're useless anyway. You can see the effect on these 2 rares. I do a double final shred attack and cross slash does decent damage. I drop a very nice ruby ring on which I use an exalt. Here's a glimpse at the tree, doing this fully blind, and I decide to take some Ellie pen and treat resistances as inverted. Another temple emerges and I do some more crafting, such as this exalt on the chest. GGG decided to put more monkeys into the game, a change I can only support. I reach level 52, take all resistance tattoos, I stunlock Hama until he dies, and the last Act 4 recording is of this guy. I apparently didn't record Tavakai, but that fight was fairly smooth. It's time for the interludes with the Ice Witch. The build hasn't changed in any meaningful way. Single target is still the same, I'm still squishy. I don't really feel I'm progressing much or getting much stronger. As a matter of fact, I am struggling quite a bit. I feel I'm getting less drops, less currency, and it's hard to keep gear up to date. Someone in the comments section under my post described it as ruthless with pretty graphics. An apt description, I feel. I do get a new skill, Lunar Blessing, this howl ability, which brings down moonbeams whenever I or my wolves attack. It is solid, but is it enough, I ask myself while killing Doriani's buddies. Let's talk about that a bit, while you watch some interlude b-roll. The playstyle hasn't changed, like I mentioned. I freeze enemies, bounce, shred, and I build up rage as well at this point, which provides more damage. And I can spend it to increase the duration of Lunar Blessing. However, the moonbeams coming from Lunar Blessing are conditional, because they only appear if I or my wolves attack. That's why I decided to get some extra wolves in, to proc it more often. Lunar Blessing, my skill, is in that sense very different from the bear, where Walking Calamity does damage no matter what you do. It's a meteor rain around you, and more importantly, it works and does damage unconditionally. You just need Glory to activate it, and it doesn't have a cooldown, contrary to Lunar Blessing. Walking Calamity, and therefore Bear, seems vastly superior to the Wolf package. I'm sticking with the Wolf though, I want to make this work, but I'm just saying that Bear seems the better option. I reroll a new talisman, decent outcome so far. I get killed by a temple boss. I finally reach the Architect after many runs and...
shall not suffer the same fate as Atsuata. An issue of skill.
Get one shot. I'm glad the devs via this voice line tell me this is a skill issue and is in no way related to game design. It is flawless game design, really, having me encounter a new boss, having that thing one-shot me with the first ability he does, and then close the temple as I have now failed the instance. It's definitely a skill issue. Oh, and let's also remove a bunch of temple rooms now that you failed, adding insult to injury. I can appreciate the skill issue voice line in theory, I think it's clever, but it is poorly placed. This league and its currently dogshit implementation of the new league mechanic is antagonizing enough. There's no need to upset players further at this point. You've already achieved that goal. Back to the game, I upgrade that talisman further. This is very usable. And here's another great boss for melee, and it is time for maps. Let's look at some early maps footage. I reached level 68 and this looks okay. I do the progression thing, summon the first corrupted boss. Here is my damage, again not bad. First few points go into local knowledge and I path towards waystones. When the build does what I want, it is quite satisfying, as can be seen in this ritual. Just freezes and ice shards everywhere. It's a hectic, APM heavy but fun playstyle. I keep running temples and opt to take the crafting options whenever I can. I make it to the Architect again and the outcome is the exact same. This is very disappointing. My defenses are clearly not up to the task, but despite me knowing how to upgrade, craft and get better gear, I simply don't get the gear and currency I need at this point in the game to make that happen. My progression is severely limited and I feel it is worse in 0.4 than in previous leagues, exacerbated by the fact this just isn't a meta build and thus requires good gear or even great gear to stand a chance, something I don't have access to in SSF. Rarity would help, yes, but I can't afford to have that on my gear currently. I get this new operation device in the temple. I think this is just amazing. In my case, this buff will last around 20 minutes, but hey, let's be honest, lasting 20 minutes isn't bad. I execute on the vision on this witch, freeze and destroy, that is the idea. I just can't make this work consistently. And this is like a tier 3 map we're talking about. It's time for more upgrades, trying to fix resistances. Here is a new belt. As you can see, I'm almost there. 2 out of the 3 resistances are kept now. The backtracking in maps is still there and it still feels horrible. I craft a new chest and get lucky on the spirit roll. By using lesser jewelers and a Val orb, I'm trying to get a 5 link for Lunar Assault, and after 7 attempts I succeed. I hardly drop any uncut support gems, so I just have to slot in whatever I have already. And it's time for a bit of experimenting and RSI. I can, in theory, use both Werebear and Werewolf, so I decide to try out Walking Calamity, and it works quite well, because it generates rage, which I can then use for a longer Lunar Blessing duration. Walking Calamity requires glory, but I build up glory in wolf form. The best of both worlds, maybe? I increase the calamity's duration, also incorporate Ferocious Roar if I want to use another skill in bear form, and I create separate passive trees for wolf and bear. On bosses it's a little awkward, I'm just standing there and waiting for the meteors to drop, but at least I am not in melee range. I discovered a bug where you can't enter Abyssal Depths with 2 talismans equipped. You can't enter while shapeshifted, it seems, it only works if I unequip a talisman. I try to 5-link Lunar Blessing, but I fail. I get to the next book, Path towards Waystone Nodes for sustain. I craft a new belt and resistances are almost kept once more. I continue mapping, drop a perfect Jeweler's Orb and decide to 6-link Lunar Assault, my main ability. I support it with freeze and rapid attacks for quality of life. I 5-link Lunar Blessing and add elemental focus for more damage. I don't think I need these moonbeams to freeze, I just want the damage. I've let go of the idea of hybrid bear-wolf. There is less synergy than I anticipated, plus I was pressing 7 buttons, and that is 6 too many buttons. It was way too clunky as well. I'm aware at this point, as I have been playing basically for the entirety of day 1, that bear has become the meta, and wolf hasn't, for good reason. But I'm going to stick with the wolf archetype for now. You would think that with a fresh 5 and 6 link, the build does feel a lot better, and while it is indeed a little bit better, I'm still not where I want to be in a map like this. Level 70, so that's like tier 6 or something. Rare enemies take a lot of time to die, and abyss rare enemies with degen areas around them, those are enemies I basically cannot kill with my wolf. I leech life, but you can't out-leech that damage. Apart from my nuts, which hurt because GGG keeps kicking them, there's something else that starts to hurt a lot after a full day of playing, and those are my hands. This gameplay probably looks incredible on screen, and if I wasn't the one clicking all these buttons, I would think it was incredible as well. But unfortunately, I am the one clicking all of these buttons, and it is 5 of them, and they are with my current gear and build all required in order to do damage. On top of that, I must constantly aim at the monster packs, pounce, dodge, cross/slash out, pound in, it's a lot in fact. It's way too much. I can feel the RSI increasing after every map. Something's going to have to change, or my hands will end up feeling like my nuts. I drop a reliquary key, that's always nice in SSF. I craft new boots, I have no desecrate currency so I just slam it. This isn't bad at all. I am now finally res capped. That reliquary key, it drops a gold rim. I drop another greater jewelers and later even another, so I have 3 now. I just get more utility and damage. There's a perfect one, again, which I apply to Lunar Blessing. I reach level 78, I anoint a bit of damage, put gold attunement to Lunar Blessing, and to automate some skills I try out Cast on Ailment. I have for now linked Thunderstorm to it and Elemental Weakness. The first increases freeze chance, the second lowers enemy elemental resistances, which is huge. It's nice, although it costs a lot of mana, and it doesn't prevent me getting killed by abyss monsters. This is only tier 6 maps, but I just cannot deal with these rare monsters, it is ridiculous. I'm close to level 80, I've invested in armor and energy shield, I'm resistance capped. My gear is as good as it can be at this stage, with all of these abysmal drop rates, and I'm basically hard stuck. I experiment some more. Next to Cast on Ailments, I try out Feral Invocation, but I can't seem to automate any of the skills that I want to, such as Lunar Blessing and the Howl. Those will not slot into this skill. Only skills that I actually want to use, like Lunar Assault, those go in. Because my buffs aren't spells, I can't automate them with any Cast On setup either, which is a real shame. I play a bit more, maybe it gets better, but spoiler alert, it gets worse. I haven't ascended a 3rd time because I hate the trials so much, but now I am level 80. The zone I'm attempting is level 60, you would think I can do it. Well, think again, because here is the Scorpion on a melee build after 30 minutes of trial. I have some pretty bad mods, but you can't always prevent that from happening, right? She kills me, and at this point I am absolutely fuming. I am the embodiment of Rage 3 support. I am building up glory writing this script days later, and this trailer is suddenly looking pretty appealing. Now we're getting to the title of the video, but before I get to my main critique of this league, let's make a few things crystal clear. 1. I am not asking for build advice. I appreciate your concerns, but as you will see, the issues aren't just build related. 2. It's not a skill issue, as you will see in the rest of the video after the critique is over. 3. I'm playing SSF, which is a self-imposed challenge, sure, and I'm aware the game isn't balanced around this. I am making SSF work all the time, however, in PoE 1 and in PoE 2 on meta builds. SSF isn't the issue. 4. Yes, I may be a tourist, but at least I show you guys some respect, right, by writing out and thinking about what I'm saying before going on a rant. And with that said, let's get into my 3 main points, which are directly following from my League Start experience so far. Number 1, my biggest issue with this build, and with many builds in PoE 2, it is way too many buttons to press. I went in blind, right? There was no real way of knowing, and you'd think some of it with meta skills could be automated. But at level 80, I still have to press 5 buttons. And add to that the constant repositioning so I don't get killed, plus melee combat, clicking on monster packs, aiming, it's way too much. It looks incredible when it works, but I simply can't play the game like this. I'm feeling my joints burning up, and reason I'm still able to play these games after many years is because I don't put up with shit like this. This is in the end subjective, of course. I'm sure some people love pressing 5 buttons, but I don't. Number 2, damage and defenses. Well, that's 2 reasons I suppose, but I basically mean the overall performance of the build. A build I consider an average build. While I got pretty lucky, I would say, with the jeweler's orbs, my gear is lacking. My weapon isn't great. This league, I feel it's even more difficult to get decent gear compared to the last league, which may be a result of the endgame monster density changes. Also, the league mechanic isn't rewarding at all. Next to this, I have less rarity than I normally do, because I need those affixes for my build. I simply can't afford rarity affixes right now. As a result, I can run less juicy maps, in which Waystone sustain is suddenly an issue. When the map boss doesn't drop their guaranteed Waystone anymore, you know the loot is messed up. This all in all results in a downward negative loot spiral that is hard to get out of. Number 3 is the result of number 1 and 2, the consequence of all this. Playing Path of Exile 2 makes me feel dumb. Dumb for playing a game that actively tries to make me feel miserable, and dumb for not being able to make a build work even beyond wide maps. It makes me feel like I don't understand the game, or I don't understand the concept of my own build. I'm no Geonor or Pelstron. I don't claim to be good at making builds, but I have taken very sensible passive notes. I have the gear that the game allows me to have, which isn't good, but yeah, there's not that much I can do about that. I'm doing all of the combos that are intended in line with the vision. I am making this build as balanced as I can. This is not a glass cannon. So then why are tier 6 maps this hard? And why do abyss monsters completely destroy me? That is a problem, I think. When you're playing a build that is not meta, or just not good, unlike Calamity Bear for example, this game not only signals the build doesn't work, which would be one thing, but the game also actively starts bullying you. The trials is fucking horrible, right? The huge maps, the combo gameplay that is basically mandatory here, what I currently perceive in SSF as loot nerfs early on in the maps, the lack of Waystone sustain, the lack of currency on the build, the lack of support gems, which are now super rare for some reason. It's like every step you take in this game, GGG puts another weight on your shoulder. And you keep soldiering on, but it's just unbearable at a point and you crumble under the pressure. Non-meta or just average builds like mine are so viciously punished. Things that should feel like an achievement because you have overcome a challenge, like completing a trial, in fact feel like a relief. You're not celebrating your achievements, you're happy that you don't have to run this shit again, and there's a massive difference. Path of Exile 2, for me, is currently missing the mark entirely when it comes to challenge. The amount of punishment and pain this game inflicts on its players, without any reason really, is just absurd. Look at the new league mechanic. If I manage to kill Atziri this league, will I be glad I did? Do you realize how many prerequisites there are to even get to Atziri? First, you need to kill the architect, which can then spawn a room with a key, which you need to get to loot that key, and only then can you get to Atziri and attempt her. Any death during these boss fights and the temple run is over. And not only that, every step of the way during this progression the game decides to delete pieces of your temple, effectively delete your progression. And when killing the architect, which should feel rewarding, it even deletes like 80% of the layout that you've spent dozens of maps building. Why inflict this punishment on the players? Why is this a thing? It is crazy to me that at some point in the design team, the topic was raised like, hey, we designed this 4-step approach, right? That players have to perform to fight the final boss of this league, basically the only pinnacle content we're adding. So with that in mind, fellow design guys, do you guys think that we should delete a bunch of progress every time the players reach a new milestone? Would that be good game design? Would that be appreciated by the players? Would that be fun? This conversation must have happened. There is no way a random design dev just decided on this by themselves. And then the outcome of that was, yes, that is a great idea. Let's delete in fact 80% of the progress after killing the architect, so players have to spend another 2 hours in maps to get back to the point that they were. This is wild to me, because this is a case where design 100% matches the implementation. This isn't a case of great design, poor implementation. No, the design and the implementation are the same. This is purely a design question. This isn't an unforeseen instance of something. It's not a bug. It's not due to the amount of time GGG had. This has nothing to do with testing or Q&A. This is a single digit in the code somewhere, which could be altered and deployed within an hour looking at the pace of hotfixes. But this is the direction they decided to go. If you watch the trailer, they literally say so, and it is something I can't wrap my head around. This uncompromising, punishing, nuts-kicking game design is what really puts me off in Path of Exile 2. It's still the second best ARPG on the market without a doubt, like nothing comes even close, but this idea of challenge must be addressed one way or another for me to properly enjoy this game with, non-meta builds. And I suppose I'm not the only one, right? Because right now I am really only left with two options. Just not playing the game, which I don't really want to do. I still enjoy the game if it doesn't pose all these ridiculous challenges. Or playing the game, but then just giving up on creating my own builds, which is something I also do enjoy, but it's completely impossible. That means I would only be playing the game with meta builds, because that is in fact the only way to enjoy the game currently. By trivializing all the shitty challenging aspects of it, because they are poorly implemented. And by allowing you to have rarity on gear so you can actually drop some gear and loot and currency, because the build by itself is strong enough anyway, you can actually put rarity on your gear. And I think that is a real shame, but I'm not playing anything non-meta anymore anytime soon after this. I can either quit entirely or reroll. I opt for a reroll into familiar territory, something people may find boring, but I just want to play this game. And after that trial death, I was mad for a whole day. I'm not gonna lie. I was furious. I woke up the next day, I was still mad. With furious, sometimes comes the fast, and I channeled my inner rage with the help of Shingo Nakamura rooftop concert to reroll as fast as I could. So here it is, time to reroll. It's time for a real build. No more debate. Here's some Jamanra damage. Gas clouds, explosions from snipers, that's pretty good. Here is some monkey damage, that is also pretty good. At level 34, I take on the Trial of Chaos, which is a level 38 zone in Act 3. I bind the Valguards to me, they make short work of Doriani. It's not a one-shot, but it is very solid DPS. Tavakai undergoes the same treatment, he is not an issue at all. In the Interludes, I pick up these powered Zealot Spectres. I think quite a meta Spectre, I got this from Gazi. I use a +2 minion helmet that I found, I craft on it, it's not bad, with the life and res, and I create some sockets and fix my resistances a bit. Here you see these Zealots at work, their main ability is the Spark. Using wild shards, I get 8 of them 25% of the time. The campaign is done, it is time to map. In early maps there's another monkey, of course, and to just give you some perspective, on only 4 links, this is that architect fight again. And this time it's not an issue at all. I'm not one-shotting anything, but I don't have to stand next to him. I can dodge his abilities and the minions do the work. This is good, this makes me happy. I get to play around with the temple now, add some extra chambers, save up to the 12 crystals so you can run the temple twice. He does afterwards delete 80% of my progress, which is just ridiculous, but I already talked about that. This build at the moment isn't strong by any means, but I can take on all the content without having to stand on green degeneration areas, which is already a big win. Bosses go down consistently too, as you can see. and I'm rewarded with this very nice ring. It's an amazing outcome, really. I desecrate some flat life on a ring and percentage life on my amulet, plus armor and energy shield on the shield. I craft a new belt and equip it a little bit later. Here is a tier 4 boss to showcase the damage increases, and it is significant after the damage reductions fall off. I put quality on the specters for more damage. I craft a new focus. I'm pretty happy with this. I'll be scaling energy shield for defenses. Here is another abyss. It isn't easy, but it is manageable, and a nearby overrun abyss map is always fun. It's a fairly slow build, right, with very few buttons though. Only offering, unearth if you want some bone constructs, and a curse here or there. I find more medallions in the temple. I don't really get what they're for at this point. Here is another. Alpha just picks them up and then leaves. I reach level 78. Here's another monkey, but now he knows how I feel currently. Progression continues, this tier 9 boss melts, and the skitter dude afterwards as well. I get book 4, so more passives. I get my first greater jewelers on this character, which goes on to the specters, and I support them with muster for now. This build isn't slowing down or anything. I think this is a tier 11 map. I get a new focus, decide to corrupt it, and I get an extra socket, which is a good outcome. 2 cold resistance runes fix my resistances. I find my first Vaal cultivation orb, replacing unique affixes on Vaal uniques, basically the Vaalborn mechanic. I have no clue which uniques are Vaal uniques and which aren't. However, the game description does tell you there are icons, and after searching my unique stash tab, I have found a bunch with these icons. The temple drops a perfect jeweler's orb, which is great, as that means accelerated projectile support for faster projectiles and more damage for the specters. I drop an ancient jawbone. I encounter the nameless seer, and I kinda like this amulet. Bedat goes down for more passive points. I drop another enfolding dawn. I have one of these equipped as it gives me 100 spirit. I decided to try my luck and corrupt it, and look at that, 118 spirit. I click an essence monster and he just disappears, probably a bug. There are a lot of small bugs this league, by the way. I find another scepter, +2, gets pretty lucky on the slamming. Now it has 50 or so spirit, which means I can now have 8 specters. I finally figure out what the medallions are for. They're basically free rooms that you can place, or free upgrades to rooms, just a little add-on to building your temple. I drop another Venter's Gamble, and this one also has no downsides. It's decent, I'll take it. I'm now well into Endgame, running tier 14 plus maps. Here I'm destroying 2 bosses plus the corruption boss. Temples grow larger and larger, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. I'll wait a bit longer with the review, but I'm not loving this or anything. I get an anti-stun charm, which I didn't have for some reason. Abyss from time to time does feel unfair, but mostly I'm fine. Backtracking though, oh boy, this is bad. I am hardly ever dying, so leveling is smooth. What is not smooth is map sustain, so I'm happy with 4 tier 15 maps. I decide on a little Atlas node respec, going into shrines and strongboxes. I avoid map explicit modifier for now. I want to be better equipped before attempting that. I'm also running all maps so far with 4 modifiers, not 6. I get these new boots, desecrate them, decide on energy shield. It's 177, that's not bad. And with a rune in there, it goes up to 199 flat ES. I have around 5k ES at this point. Here is another perfect jeweler's orb, which I put on Pain Offering, as that provides so much damage to my minions. I support it with minion mastery and prolonged duration. I craft this new belt with chaos res, and after fixing some resistances, I have 41% chaos res. Not horrible. I anoint my amulet for splintering force, so I can take 3 points from the passives and get some more energy shield nodes. I encounter the Dark Domain. The boss inside doesn't really stand a chance. I reach level 89 and I start collecting fragments to enter the Arbiter of Ash fight. That goes rather smoothly. Doriani dies, I do a full Kulamag fight, empower him completely, and manage to defeat the final shape of this guy. It is a challenge, but I feel a fair challenge on this build. The ring I get and that I'm unveiling here isn't anything special. At level 90, I decided to do the 3rd trial, level 60, and get my revenge. Fortunately, she gets completely wrecked like she deserves. I take this energy shield node, raising my ES to around 6.8k. I craft this sapphire, which is pretty good. I run another architect, kill him again, get another medallion, and now I can place the royal access chamber, which I will now have to path towards before I can attempt Atziri. This is going to take a while because you don't get many path tiles, especially when this happens. This is quite discouraging, I will say. More small kicks in the nuts for no apparent reason. The search for fragments continues. Jamanra one-shots me, but then I managed to kill him. And that brings me to the Arbiter of Ash, the current final boss in Path of Exile 2. Well, maybe Atziri, but I'll save that for another video if I ever get there. I haven't done this fight in ages. Last league I didn't make it this far as you couldn't find citadels, so in SSF you were basically hard stuck. That has been fixed, fragments are plentiful, so I can now attempt this. Interestingly, basically every boss ability kills my entire minion army. It probably also kills me. In fact, I will soon figure out it will. I do need my minions to be alive, however, to do damage. I do enjoy this fight, however. I also enjoy that you can't fail this first version, which in my case isn't even required. I wouldn't have used 6 portals to be fair, but I definitely died a few times to this phase with all the explosions. But after a few attempts, I get the hang of it. In the second phase, I just try to avoid his attacks as good as I can. This build isn't known for its visual clarity, but what am I supposed to do here? I don't really get the difference between the two areas which you can change with the orbs, but he does die after 3 tries and he drops the Sacred Flame. Not a bad item really. It should have some minion levels on it though. From Reroll to Arbiter just took me a smidgen under 24 hours of playtime, fueled by Rage and Japanese Deep House. I think it's a pretty decent result. Right now, I'm continuing playing the build. I haven't found a level 19 or 20 skill gem yet. My gear really isn't good at all, so I wanted to push the build a little bit further and maybe push some more content. Although I don't have many reasons to do so. I'm curious about the temple, however, plus I do expect significant buffs and maybe a rework here and there because it's just not worth running and way too punishing. I really do expect GGG replies to the feedback. I just don't understand how they don't get this in the first place. I'm a little sad that the werewolf didn't pan out, but I wanted to try it out at least. I may revisit it in some capacity after getting much better gear. I think it can be strong. I mean, the bear calamity thing looks good, but as a werewolf starter in SSF, I ran into all the things that make Path of Exile 2 so incredibly painful to play at times. I will end it here though. This was the longest script I've ever written, I think, so thanks for making it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.